all. So good afternoon and welcome to the spring 2021 version of the Brown Bag / Snack Chat. And with COVID-19, you know, your snacks are out individually packaged out, and the dean tells me you can't have any refreshments in here, so you'll have to get them and go after a while, but don't leave yet. We're really glad that you're here. It's great to see you. I do want to say we are recording the comments that each of the cabinet members will make. We will come back and then we will turn the camera off and then answer your questions, because I don't want you to feel like I can't ask a question because it's going to be recorded. So please write the topic down, write your question down, so that when we come back at the end, I will step back to the up to the front. We'll turn the camera off because I want you to feel at ease or at liberty to ask your questions, and we'll absolutely do our best to get the answers to you, okay? So please do that. So we do want to make sure that we have one recording. It's easier to do that here than the ballroom, the two ballrooms we've been in, so that those that might want to hear about the discussions, they can do that. So that's what we're doing. But it's great to be with you. It's good to see you. It's good to be 73 degrees. I almost had to turn the air conditioner on in the vehicle as compared to 3 weeks ago. I can't remember what day I went to all the campuses when we had the Siberian weather, sub-zero temperatures. And as I drove up here, the alarm was blaring. I can't imagine why the neighbors didn't turn it in. And then it was fun trying to get in, even with the master key. I won't bore you with all the details. And then there's the snow drifts in front of the door, so it was an interesting time. But I say that a little bit in tongue-in-cheek to say we had the most dangerous weather that we've had since 1897 or 1899. And I know a lot of folks really stepped up just to do, that ranges from IT to our custodians to the faculty. And then, let me also say I appreciate the cabinet, because we had to make very quick decisions. And there were 2 of those days that we said we're canceling classes. The reason we did that, I expect you know, is because we were having rolling power outages. And let me just say, in a common sense way, if you're sitting at home wondering if you're going to have electricity, if you're going to have heat, are you going to have running water, you don't need to worry about it if you have a quiz in an online course. So we felt like life safety trumps, and I believe in education. I've spent my whole life supporting higher education. I'm just saying, we appreciate those with the flexibility to let people take care of their families. And it was dangerous. We could not even put people outside very long for fear of frostbite. So thank you for what you did during that time, and we're so glad that it's much better today. And it looks like, at least for the next 2 weeks from the forecast, there's no more Siberian weather. So with that, we're very thankful. I always try to have a budget update with the groups as we go from campus to campus. I want to do the same today. What I would say is that the Equalization Board met, which is a constitutional board of different people, the governor, lieutenant governor, state treasurer, state superintendent of instruction. It's a group of folks that have to meet. They look at the revenue projections created by the state treasurer and other economists, and then they have to certify how much revenue they can build the 22 budget with. The governor gets his number in December. The legislature gets their number in February. So the February number, if you were watching, you heard almost it appeared to be a euphoric message that we've got $1.9 billion in additional revenue. That is not true. Let me say, at the end of the day, what they're saying is, yes, there's this much money that was above the projections from a year ago, but the fact of the matter is, on February the 18th or whatever it is, they actually certified, because you can only build a budget and pay operating expenses with reoccurring revenues, right? So they certified the revenue for 22 really at about $7.9 billion. in the current year that we're in now, this is fiscal year 21, are you with me? Everybody with me? They certified $8.2 billion. So in effect, they certified less revenue, reoccurring revenue, for next year than this year. They also are taking rainy day fund, revenue stabilization funds, different sources of cash from the 71 different pockets of money. And so they're putting some one-time money, but you cannot operate an agency off of one-time money. And of the $1.7 billion in one-time money, there are already over $1 billion worth of obligations, unmet obligations. And then we have another $164,000 to $185,000 for the Medicare expansion. Shall I go on? So at the end of the day, you understand the lay of the land. Now let's go back and look at what has this meant. And I know this is small, and you can come take a picture after the program and use it only for your personal use. I'm not giving you permission to post it on your webpage or social media or anything, okay? This is us talking to us. But over here on these different columns, you're going to see 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So in fiscal year 16, we started out the year with a $1.28 million appropriations reduction. After we got into January, now remember, fiscal year 16 started July 1st of 2015, right? You with me? But it ends on June 30th of 16. So when we got into January of 16, the second half of the year, within 70 days, we had 5 additional revenue failures. 5. So although we started off with a $1.29 million cut, by the end of the year we'd lost $4.8 million in cash, of which they only rolled over to reduce the base, the 1.29. So that moves up here, and every year that passes, unless they restore it, that means that's how much we've lost. So then we get into fiscal year 17. Not only did we lose the 1.29 from the year before, we also lost an additional $5.7 million. This year, we started off in the hole 3.9%, another $1.3 million. If you take the cumulative effect, this line right here, now again, you can't use the green because that didn't carry over. That was a one-time cut. You have to use the yellow. You're going to see that since 16, we are down $44.3 million. Our annual E&G budget, Educational and General Expenditure, Part 1, is about $90 million. So we could go back just a few years and you're going to see that in 16, we were probably, Christy, you'll correct me perhaps, we were probably 41% funded by the state, about 16, 17. We're now 30% funded with state dollars. And I say that to say, and I've belabored the point to tell you that yes, the best case scenario for us for 22 is a flat appropriation. But a flat appropriation does not equal flat expenses. There's a great likelihood that we'll have health insurance increases. There'll be other expenses. So I just want you to know. Now I say that to say our ability to go forward and do great things for employees and our students at NSU is going to have to come through enrollment growth, but either comes with new students or retention of others. I'm a broken record. But we were heading in a good place a year ago. Before March 23rd last year, we were trending up 7% in our enrollment projections. Within a matter of about 90 days, all of that was wiped out. So now we're almost a year out from the COVID. So we were doing there, and then there's COVID. So I want you to know that as we move forward to do better things, and my priorities, and I've said this to the cabinet, I've said this at the other two, if I had a magic wand and pixie dust and I could wave the wand and do anything, I would provide a salary increase to all eligible full-time employees. And 1% salary increase with the benefits costs us $600,000. So every year that passes now, folks, we are down almost $10 million a year. Every year that passes. So this 44.3 next year will be $53 million that every year that passes until they restore it. That means we've lost $10 million more. So you go figure, okay, if you could give everybody a raise of 1% at $600,000. So others will say it, but let me be clear, very clear, and say it again. Our ability to do more to help change our salaries and to do more programs is going to have to come through enrollment growth that helps with either new enrollment or retention. So that's where we are. We don't know what's left. If you look right now, the state economy, in January, we're still meeting the projections for the current year. We're not going to meet the projections in February. But I do not believe they'll have to declare a revenue failure. I believe we're going to get through this year without a revenue failure, only because the budget projections were so low. But we are literally we're talking 0.2% meeting this year's budget needs. Not NSU, the state of Oklahoma. Okay? So we're gonna, but I still believe the state of Oklahoma will get through the year without a revenue failure. But I do not anticipate any additional money from the state next year for 22. There is some discussion that they will fund $10 million of debt service to pay the backlog for the endowed chair program. The endowed chair program is where people gave money up to $250,000 since 2008. That was supposed to be matched by the state. The state has not kept up. There's a backlog of $161 million, and so the state needs to meet its obligation. Will they this year? I don't know. But if there's any help that comes, it will probably be debt service to include that $161 million in another bond package, and that money then, it will not change our operations. It will just fund the debt service. We have 4 endowed chairs in the queue that needs to be matched by the state. Okay? So, again, I hope if you have questions about that, please write those down, because I really want to come back and have conversations. It's a little darker in here. I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I give you some updates very quick on legislation. We had a bill that passed earlier today in the Senate. It's by Dwayne Pemberton locally. It's a bill that I asked him to run after studying Louisiana. It requires the FAFSA be completed in high school. And so what the states that have imposed this, where they were only getting a 30% completion rate, it's now gone to 72, 73%, and they're seeing the college rate go up exponentially, just by letting the students know. So it passed out earlier today. We have Senate Bill 292 passed out, which is a concurrent bill, which is a bill that we look at that will be a statewide study, a task force on concurrent enrollment. It started off to be specific to Tulsa area, the Tulsa Metropolitan Service Area. Now it's going to be expanded in the state. So who can teach when, and what happens when you have a shared service area? For example, in Muskogee, we share this service area with Connor State. Connor State offers the 1 in 2,000 level courses. We cannot offer 1 in 2,000 level courses here. In Broken Arrow, we cannot offer 1 in 2,000 level courses. That's TCC. So it's a statewide look at all of that. Other bills very quickly. Senate Bill 614, which is the right, I'm going to read this, right to an unbiased education, freedom from endorsement, symbolism, or propaganda of socialism, communism, Marxism, or anti-American sentiment. That bill is still alive. So I don't know what you do in the liberal arts, and who determines what's anti-American. I'll let you determine that. Senate Bill 660, Senator Dom out of Broken Arrow. Institutions cannot raise tuition above the rate in place for this current year. Tuition and fees cannot be increased going forward. We also have other bills that talk about the Senate Bill 733. Right now, higher education and career tech are exempt from open carry laws in the state of Oklahoma. This bill would remove that exemption. So I could go on, but I won't. So there's several things that are happening, and we're on it. As I told the other groups, my list of about 46 bills that we're really working on, I think is going to go down to about 6 or 7 after I get a little more time. And some of these we want to happen. We really do. One is a bill on OTAG, which changes the window of opportunity. It gives you to June of your junior year instead of only your senior year. So you can sign up as a freshman, but we're trying to extend it where you can sign up a little bit later to participate in Oklahoma's Promise Scholarship. That is voted on this afternoon in Appropriations Committee. That's a good bill. So there are those that are constructive and certainly in my professional opinion and helpful. And then you're certainly entitled to your personal views too. But I'm trying to keep this at the professional level. Okay, so we're on that. Let me talk a little bit about COVID. We just need to be very, very clear on how successful that Northeastern State University's been because of a lot of people that really care about others. I could go back since a year ago. I remember the first big conversation that I knew things were not, that it was upside down, was March 11th. I was in Washington, D.C. We had just had the first COVID case diagnosed and made public on March 7th. And I was the chair of the Council of Presidents, and there was just so much happening. And I knew then, I know a lot more than I knew then, but I knew then this wasn't going to be good. And so as you know, we came back, and I remember the 21st of March, as we sat and looked at all the places that our students and employees had gone for spring break. Dr. Freeman may well remember this. You had to tell us where you'd been. And I looked at that morning, I said, there's no way we can come back. I mean, we had people that all over the world, we didn't know where it was then. So as you know, we had to pivot quickly and shut down. But let me just say this. We had a group of health professionals, some probably in this room that have participated, the health department, others that were involved in helping create, using the science to create what we call our Return to Campus committee and task force. They did a great job. The most cases we had between our 3 campuses from March 23rd of last year to the day was right after Labor Day. We had 36. And if you do the math, folks, we could have 9,500 plus all of our contractors. We had 36. Most of those came from 2 events. A party in Cherokee County and one in Tulsa County. So the most employees we averaged 3 employees a week in the fall semester with known positive between the 3 sites until Thanksgiving. We all heard the same instructions: don't travel, don't go anywhere. And again, I have an older father and he has an older mother. We haven't been in their home. We're not. It's tough. It's tough. It's probably tougher for them than it is for us, to be honest with you, because we can at least go and do. But we were told, well, the fact of the matter is, we're all adults, we make decisions. We saw the surge in our employee cases, where we had averaged at that point for about 13 weeks, we'd averaged 3, we hit 8, we went to 9, we got to 12. We'll certify today at 5 o'clock that we have 2 known student cases at all 3 campuses and 0 employees. Now, are there those that aren't reporting? Perhaps. Are there those that don't have a clue because they're asymptomatic? Probably. Are there those students that may have had it but they're not coming to campus? It's all online, so they don't. Absolutely. But the fact is, this is not an anomaly. This didn't happen as an accident. It happened with a lot of hard work. It happened with the mask mandate on August 3rd, 2020. It happened because we're washing our hands. It happened because now we're taking the vaccines. And let me just say, 2 weeks ago last Friday, I had the first official discussion with the State Health Department. And the State Health Department said, okay, who at your institution can help give vaccines? So we identified about, I'm going by memory, I may be wrong, about 22 people. We sent them their name. Okay, do you have an approved pod? Yes, we do. At NSU, the approved pod is the event center on the Tahlequah campus. It was an approved pod from 3 years ago through Homeland Security to the State Health Department. There was a confusion by 11 people 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago now. We hosted a vaccination event for over 900 folks. We hosted it. It was not ours. That was the State Health Department that used their portal with those that were 65 and older in Tier 1, and we just allowed them to use our pod. And we could give 150 vaccines an hour. So we could do 1,200 a day. But we have not had, NSU has not had, we have no vaccines, we have not had a vaccination event. But we are having the conversations. What I would say to you now is, I don't know if the State Health Department comes in, they may well say, President Turner, the NSU pod is the event center. Everyone, employees and students that want the vaccine have to go to the event center. If I have the opportunity to say or influence, we'll have one in Muskogee and we'll have one in Broken Arrow. I don't make those rules. But I did have to certify that our pod, approved pod, is at the event center. So I'm letting you know, some of you have had vaccines, your first responders, you might have hit some other criteria. A lot of folks haven't. But we know we can do it. We know that we can do 150 vaccines in an hour. So we're ready to go. When they're ready to go, I've said all along, it would probably be April to July. I stand by that. I do think they could contact us right after spring break and say, hey, let's get ready to do the deal. So I guess if the only hardship is we have is that the folks in Broken Arrow have to drive to Tahlequah, or the folks here have to drive, well, my 82-year-old father just drove an hour and a half to go to Ardmore to get a second vaccine because that's the only place he could get it. So again, you know our preference, but we're not in control of that. So that's where we are. I wanted to update you on that. But the other thing I would say is there are 3 vaccines now. Oklahoma just got 31,000 of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the 1 dose. We've been using Pfizer, then we did Moderna. Moderna has a 28-day period before you take the second dose, and then you have to wait 14 days. What I want to tell you is that I assure you, when we have the ability to get the vaccine, when we hit day, let's just say the Moderna is the threshold. So we've had the first vaccine, we went 28 days, now we've waited 14 more. When we hit that 15th day, we are going to use that as the springboard or the gateway to get everything back as normal as possible. That means our students in a disproportionately high number want the normal, the regular college experience. So I want you to enthusiastically embrace the vaccine and then be ready to go. And we're going to get back with in-person advisement. We're going to be back to a schedule just like we were in the summer of 19 and the fall of 19. So get ready and let's make it happen because we've got opportunities. I think our best days are ahead of us. And go back to what I said earlier. Our ability to do more and offer new programs is going to have to come from enrollment. It's not going to come from the state. And that means our students want to be here. They want to talk to us. They want to meet with us. We'll have the vaccine. We may still have to wear masks for a while. I expect that we will, unless you go south of the Red River. And that's another story for another day, right? I guess the last thing I'll mention, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Landry. Oh, I do need to say one other thing. we have kicked back to the task force, and I forgot to mention this, broken arrow. We have kicked back to the task force, the return to campus group, to say, do we need, right now we have, if you've been exposed to someone that's positive, we still make you wait 14 days. But since the last part of November, the CDC said you can wait 10. Many of the other universities in Oklahoma and 3/4 of the MIAA schools have gone to a 10-day. So we have now asked the health task group to reevaluate that. We know a lot more now than we did then. We've also said, okay, once we have the vaccine, the CDC said if you've had exposure and you've had both vaccines, you don't have to quarantine anymore. Now, how long does this vaccine last? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. We've never taken it before, right? So just know they're working on that. Lastly, you've seen in the media reports several things about the Oklahoma College of Optometry. 85 years ago, this year, we started construction of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, what would be considered an Indian hospital in the Cherokee Nation. 85 years ago, 1936. In the early 80s, the Cherokee Nation moved out and has had 3 hospitals since then. And we're in a building that was designed as a hospital for 25 doctors and all the nurses that go with that. Wide halls. We only have about 28,000 square feet of usable space in Oklahoma's College of Optometry. We're not competing against any other college or university in the state, so we need $33 million and sooner rather than later to replace an antiquated several buildings. I started saying building, but it's a hodgepodge. It's a hodgepodge. So just stay. I know next week we have private luncheons with 3 of the governor's cabinet members to talk about how the state of Oklahoma can help support the Oklahoma College of Optometry. So be ready for that. We're excited, but we've got a long ways to go. With that, we'll have Dr. Landry, we'll have then Dr. Freeman, Ms. Lansaw, and Mr. Mayberry. And then again, I will come back, we'll shut off the camera, and then we'll take your questions. Please write your topics down or your questions. And with that, Dr. Landry, please.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's also good for my eyes to see you, and it's always good to see you in person. Thank you for taking the time to be here today, and those of you that are watching the recording, thanks for caring and catching up, and we hope to see you all in person again someday soon. I want to join in the thanks to the faculty, staff, everyone that helped with our, I think Dr. Freeman's calling it snowpocalypse or whatever you want to call that week of the Arctic weather. Yet our facilities, of course, IT above and beyond, they're physically here, but still to make it possible to be successful, to be able to say we're going virtual and to have really no complications. I know we had a little bit of CTL involvement and also our NSU Online folks behind the scenes, but for the most part, it was the superhuman effort of the faculty and staff and those that support instruction making it go so smoothly. So I thank you for that. I know our students are grateful. There were lots of occasions of flexibility having to be provided to students that were, maybe things were a little bit different where they lived than where the faculty were. So I appreciate everything that was done for that. And that helps. Another area that I want to touch a little deeper that President Turner mentioned, the retention, how important it is for the future, for the fall, the summer, in getting our students to where we want them to be, which is completing and graduating and being at commencement. It's been tough. It's been a tough year for all of us, but just imagine being a student. Many of our students are parents. Many of our students have kids that have been virtual, so you add all of that up over the past year, and we know it's been tough for them, and then we add the bad weather and all of that brought. Anything that you can continue to do to reach out, check in on them, just tell them you care, and it's really important, more so now than ever, to make progress toward their degree completion. It's tough, yes, but it's really important for them to stay the course, finish, and gain a degree and be here and stay in Oklahoma, of course, and help us all get back on our feet as a state. But the retention piece will prove to be very important to the success for financial reasons, but also to our institution, but personally, just the shared goal we all have for our students to be successful and to complete, but then also to attain a higher degree of, a higher amount of degree students, people in our state. So anything you can do in that area is always appreciated. Just keep up the good work there. We came back from that snow week with a lot of things on the agenda. We had our 4th Indigenous Leadership Summit. I hope you were all able to tune into that every day. There were some really interesting topics discussed, panels. Coming up from the Center for Tribal Studies in April 12th to the 17th is the 48th Annual American Indian Symposium. Again, that is virtual as well. So I hope you're able to join bits and pieces or all of it if that's the luxury you have at that moment in your life, but probably not, but just attend where you can. Most of the events that we have in our normal busy month of April will be virtual in terms of the Student Honor Society recognitions, the awards ceremonies, all of that will be published. It's probably already on the calendar. If you've had a chance to look at the calendar that's on the Go In As You page, you can keep up very well. So I encourage you to utilize that tool that's there to stay abreast, not only of our academic things going on, but just as a campus. So virtual events for April, but then we have commencement rolling around in May. So I'll skip ahead here a little bit on my topics. We had successful, in-person successful commencement in December. Student and faculty only, and our plans are to replicate that again this year. Again, if it wasn't for the hard work of the students, the people attending, the people working, we know of no known connection to any COVID cases at all from those ceremonies, because we followed and went above and beyond CDC guidelines for those. Now today, at this moment, we are still planning just students and faculty only. We hope perhaps to be able to reconsider that. We don't know the vaccine schedule. We don't know the possibilities of what will the curve flatten or disappear. It's all unknown right now. So at this moment, all I can tell you is it will be in person again, like it was December, following the same kind of guidelines, but guests are still questionable. Right now, we're not planning on that, but I know that's disappointing for students, disappointing for us. It's a celebration, so we hope things are better by May, but look for about another month of us watching and considering and being ready to pivot. We've proven that we can be very nimble and yet very careful. Those are two things that are important that work well together. But again, I appreciate your patience as we work through all the various things that pop up during this unusual time. A moment of celebration that we've had in academic affairs. We've always had a rich tradition of our Da Vinci Scholars and Fellows. Those are faculty and students that apply, nominated, apply, and are selected for their creativity and leadership. So we have 3 faculty that were recognized, Dr. Jericho Hobson, Megan Moreland, and Sarah Ramsey. So I don't see any of them here, but they will be recognized later this spring. And 2 students, now the requirement for students is that they are teacher education, so they receive a cash compensation to take it back into their future classroom. So we're excited about that. President Turner also touched on the schedules for fall and summer. Those will be visible next week, the 9th. It's already, the semester is going by quickly. We are planning for a schedule that replicates our 2019 offerings. In the summers, we have normally, in the past several years anyway, been mostly online in the summer. We will have some face-to-face classes, but it will mirror what we did in 2019. Our fall 21 schedule will look a lot like our 2019 schedule. So again, with the caution, if everything else proves as it seems to be trending now, that our students, we're listening, definitely want to be in person. We want to be there in person. I know here on this campus, most of our classes are in person, and really there's not too many options for some of those courses. And kudos for all of you that teach here and do work with those cohorts of students, keeping them safe. It's gone well, so keep up the great work. Last but not least, HLC. HLC is coming in October for their visit. So a lot of the committees have been busy at work despite Christmas breaks and ice breaks and all of those other occasions we've had to juggle things going on. And those reports have been turned in to Academic Affairs, so the final assurance argument is being prepared. How many of you here are on a committee? I know there's a few of you. Well, thank you for your work in that and participating and being a part of that. We have other annual reports that are due about the same time, so lots of report writing in Academic Affairs, but always knowing that we will shine come October. We want to tell our story, and thank you for your help in serving as a committee member and helping us get to the finish line on that. I think that's it, and then I'll take your questions after we're all finished. Dr. Freeman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just have a few updates. The first two are really broader topics that we've been working on for a long time that have kind of come to some fruition here. Is that we just announced, I think a week or so ago here, that we got our veteran-friendly campus designation back. That's been an effort that we have spent quite a bit of time over the last few years trying to make sure we had all of the services in place. Maybe it would be, we worked on a veterans lounge. We also have worked on some of our procedures and some of the services that we have available for our veteran students. And so we were very excited for that designation. There's more news with that coming in, with Christy when she speaks, but we were just pretty excited about that, not only for our veteran students, knowing that hopefully we'll have better services for them, but also just being able to share that as we get out there and recruit, because that's, with the history of NSU, our veteran population has always been an important part of what we do. And so I think that designation not only means a lot for what we're doing for our veteran students, but what NSU should be about. So just wanted to share that. The other piece is, and I think we talked about this a while back, but this has not been, the last few budget cycles, it's not like we sit around the table and go, we've got so much money, what do we do with all this? It's usually, what's the most important thing? What's on fire? Like, what do we need to really solve? And one of those things that we talked a lot about, because we hear this a lot from faculty and staff and students, that we just get so many emails. And how do we handle all of the communication pieces that are going out? How do we get notified about all of the events, and what do we need to be at, and what do we need to be doing? And so we have worked as a group, and we have purchased a communications app. And this is an app that's being used all across the country very successfully. But one of the things that we wanted from NSU's standpoint, and what we kind of really talked about, is that how do we make this more effective for our faculty, staff, and our students? Because I don't know how many times I hear, like, I didn't even know that was happening, or I would have loved to have known about that. And so figuring out how do we be more effective in those things. And so there's a large committee that is going to be working on that app this whole semester. We're hopefully going to have the full rollout for the fall semester and starting in the summer, obviously. But that's one of the things that you're going to see a lot of things about. So if you have a desire to learn more about that, you can, especially, I think Dan and I specifically are on the committee, and then there's going to be other folks, but you're welcome to reach out to either one of us and we can talk through the logistics of that. It's not going to be a simple process, because the reality of it is it will make us think about the things we do and how do we do those things better. And so that's something we're going to spend a lot of time on, is how do we manage those pieces. And so I just wanted to share with you as that unfolds, because if that's ever a comment that's ever came out of you, that's something that you may be interested in. So the other piece, and this has been talked about by Dr. Landry and Dr. Turner, but enrollment is one of those things that it's always important. But now more than ever, it is becoming increasingly important as we talk about state revenue, we talk about how do we manage our budgets. Our enrollment really drives so many of the things that we are wanting to do, would like to do, as Dr. Sherman was talking about the salary increase pieces. And we're in one of the most difficult times of higher education anyway. Like, it doesn't mean, not even just for NSU, all across the country, all across the world. And so it's really trying to figure out, like, how do we manage that in this environment? And how do we recruit? I'm assuming many of you have had the same question. How do we get out there to the students? We can't get into the high schools like we once did. How you actually reach them, whether it's through digital marketing, digital campaigns, emails, all of that stuff is just shifted. And it's just a different environment than it's ever been. And if you find somebody who says that they're an expert in that and knows how to handle this COVID environment, they'll probably also have some ice that they're going to sell you, and that it'll melt in seconds. But the reality is that we're all trying to figure this out. And so I think we have seen ourselves navigate things very well from a lot of different perspectives. But at the same time, we're not out of this. There's still a lot of things to do. This coming fall semester is scary in a lot of different ways. If you looked at our numbers just currently, our numbers for applicants and admits is way down from what it normally is. But if you look at national data, so is every other institution across the country. And so there's a lot of unknowns. And I think that's one of those things that it's concerning, but at the same time, we know students are going to be making decisions later than they ever have. We just ran some of the numbers, and it may be a little bit different for each of the three campuses, but all three campuses together, at this time of the year, we have accepted and admitted 92% of all the students that will show up on our campuses in the fall. And that is nowhere near where we're going to be this year. Things are just different. I don't know what that percentage is. I have no clue how that will shake out, but what I'm really trying to say to you is that your interactions now at this time mean a whole lot. And so when you're talking with students who are interested in programs, interested in NSU and what we do, just remind yourself that these students are still making decisions, and that there's still a time to impact the things that they're thinking about, and we really want them to be able to see what NSU is about. Because I think, to me anyhow, when you look at all the other schools in the state that they may be looking at, or even out of the state, I feel like we offer that connection point, that partnership, that ethic of care that they can't get at other schools. And if they can see and feel that in this time of tumultuous, just like you're not really sure which way to turn and how things are going to play out, if they find a place that they feel safe, comfortable, and that we know we're going to be a good partner with them in their journey, this might be the place they choose. And so, just as a reminder, this is what NSU is about, and there's still time to really impact our enrollment and impact our students and help them make decisions. And that's to go the same thing as Dr. Landry was saying. This is the same thing for our current students. They're struggling now more than they ever have with doubts and I'm not sure of what's next steps. And so I think us being that sense of reason, helping them figure out the resources that we have to assist them in this journey is huge. So I appreciate all that you've done, but there's still lots to do. And we're excited to see how it's going to play out, but at the same time nervous because there's just so many things that are still unknown. So more to come on the enrollment stuff as we see all this unfold. We still have major decisions to make as we kind of proceed through all this, but there's still a lot happening. So thank you guys for everything you're doing in impacting our students. And so you're up. Thank you guys.
Hello. Well, I'm happy to see everybody here today in person. Can't wait till we get back to being able to shake hands and see each other socially and have one-on-one meetings again. And I'm very glad that we all survived the Oklahoma tundra. For the most part, we did have about 16 line breaks that affected about 14 buildings on all of our campuses as a result of the freezing temperatures and the rolling blackouts. And I do want to give a big shout out to all of our facility folks for all the work that they did, sometimes standing in freezing water, cold, wet, and still there trying to get the job finished. Also IT and all their efforts to keep all the generators going and all of our systems up and running. And we still have several crews that are still making repairs to several of our buildings. In fact, yesterday, the state risk management team was at the Tahlequah campus checking out our Cobb facility. And then last Monday, they were at the Broken Arrow facility looking at those leaks, or those flooded areas and assessing some of the damage. We think ultimately our estimates are going to come in somewhere around $300,000 to $400,000 for those repairs that need to be made. Also, just a couple of updates on some of our larger projects. Seminary Hall, we will start the clock tower renovations in the next couple of weeks, so that'll be exciting to see. And also, we had Monday we received several of the historical windows that will be replaced in the building. Wilson Hall construction is in full swing. The project is progressing really well and on schedule, and we still project completion in spring of 2022. And several other projects that we have. Well, first I want to mention also, I think President Turner mentioned earlier, or I'm sorry, Jerry was talking about the veterans celebrations, and it's an honor to be a veterans facility site now, so veterans friendly campus, sorry. So we did get a chance in January, the committee met, the Veterans Memorial Monument Committee met. We got to see the larger than life clay sculptures, and they look really, really, really good. I mean, it is so impressive to see what the sculpture has done and to see those. And they should be going to the foundry to get cast in bronze in a few weeks, so we're really excited about that. The Veterans Memorial Plaza is in full design also to house the monument and should go out to bid in the next few weeks. And so we're very excited and hope that you all can join us for the celebration and the unveiling on November 11th on Veterans Day. And I want to go over several of our construction and maintenance and capital projects here on the Muskogee campus specifically. We know that there's a unit out in room 147, and we are still waiting for that unit to arrive. It's taking a little longer than normal than what we had expected. It's been about 12 weeks now that we've ordered that unit, and it still hasn't come in, but we're tracking it every day to see how quick we can get it. And the ADA doors, I'm told that they were completed last Wednesday, and they came yesterday to make a few adjustments, so I hope nobody's going to hit those doors or having to steer clear of them, because you know that they weren't working correctly. And the sign on roof. So we budgeted for the admin roof about $650,000. The sign on roof is not quite as complex, not as large, so we budgeted around $550,000 for that, and the bids came in almost twice as much. So we're looking for some options to still be able to make some major repairs to the roof on that building. Parking lots lights. We replaced 19 fixtures and have repaired several others. I know there's still 5 lights out when you come in through the parkway. And those lights, they're going to require a little bit more substantial work to get those repaired, including some circuit and some rewiring. So those we don't have fixed yet. Also, the decorative lights out in front, we're still in the design phase, but we anticipate those documents, the design documents being produced pretty quickly, and go out to bid to get those replaced. Also, just a couple of other items. I wanted to let you all know we're meeting March 11th, next Thursday, with our insurance group and the actuarials to kind of see where we are on the health insurance, to see if we're looking at any kind of increases for all of our health plans. We're hoping that we're not, and so far the numbers are looking pretty good, but we'll roll out some more information as we get it for those numbers. Our board met last week, and we received our audit and review. Everything went really well. Once again, NSU had a very clean audit with no findings at all, so we're proud of that. Also this year we were able to produce our W-2s electronically as well as the 1099s. And then tomorrow we put together a HERF committee to look at our second set of the CARES Act funds. If you remember, we gave, in last May and June, we were able to roll out about $2.8 million to our students. They have changed how we roll out those funds a little bit this go around. So we put together a committee to make recommendations to cabinet for the best way we can get those funds in the pockets of our students and get those monies dispersed as fast as possible. So with that, don't have anything else on my notes. Do y'all have any questions that I can answer? Or we're waiting until the end, I'm sorry. Okay, well, thank you. And my door's always open if you have any questions or need anything.
As others before me said, thank you all so much for the things that you do on a day in and day out basis to make our students' experience at NSU the best possible. We know that, as Dr. Freeman said, that our institution is known really for taking care of others. And this being our healthcare campus, we know that you do that incredibly well, taking care of others. You're training our students to do that, to take care of one another. So again, thank you for that. I do also want to thank many of you in the room who are content managers for our website. When we launched our website in late fall, our search engine optimization was in the around 20 out of 100. What this search engine optimization, it really allows us to be on the upper end of the list in Google. When Google returns some information, so let's say you've looked up Northeastern State University healthcare. And so we want to make sure that we're at the top of the list and that the right information is being returned in these organic searches. And so this is what helps us make sure that we're at the top of the page within those search engines. With the work that you all have helped within our website, we are now scoring in the mid-90s out of a possible 100. So thank you all very, very much for the work that's gone on into the website from the search engine standpoint. Additionally, when we launched our website from accessibility, we knew that that was going to be a major concern, is that we want to make sure that everyone has access to the information within our web. And that means those that need screen readers or have other different abilities. And so as of January the 22nd, our accessibility score was in the low 30s. But as of March 1st, our accessibility score has now jumped to 97 out of 100. So again, you all have been putting in lots of work in the context of accessibility and in the search engine performance. So thank you all very, very much for your work there. Additionally, thank you all for helping us meet students where they're at, meeting parents where they're at, and helping inform our communications and marketing department about the popular media being consumed. And so that's been a great resource for us as we're out there conducting messaging and we're looking for other formats to get the NSU story out there. Recently, we've been able to acquire a couple billboards in the Tulsa area. One over by Tulsa Hills Shopping Center and the other on 169 and out by the Broken Arrow Expressway. Those billboards are highlighting our branch campuses and then also really how long we have been serving the people of our region. Again, just a reminder that we're here as NSU and that we're continuing to provide outstanding service to the people of this region. With those billboard opportunities, we are also utilizing some technology that's geofencing that area. So as you're driving by those billboards, we're then also serving ads to your social media accounts that mirror those billboards. So not only are you seeing this as you're driving down the road, you get to your destination, you're scrolling through Facebook, and that messaging is reinforced within your social media accounts. Additionally, we know that students and parents, all of us, have consumed much more media in terms of video on the internet. So we just finished up our connected television campaign for the graduate college. We had over 165,000 views of our graduate college commercial for each month for the last 3 months. Here at the end of or middle of March until July, we will be running an undergraduate campaign where we expect to see, again, significant impressions, a lot of commercial views, utilizing, again, connected TV. That means programs like Hulu, Sling, YouTube television, okay? So you'll see a lot of our commercials out in those venues. Additionally, as you've heard several people talk about, the military component of NSU and our history is very important to us. We have reached out to Griffin Magazine, which is an Army publication, and now we're having ads within the Griffin. The Griffin is run by the 108th Training Division within the Army. This magazine is required reading for everyone in that command. They have about 50,000 officers under their command, and there's about 53 different command centers, one of them being Fort Sill. Again, it's required reading for those officers under that command. So we have a presence there, again, trying to reach out to that population. One of the other things that, as we all are thinking about ways that we can reach out to students, tell our story, and help the institution recruit that very important student into our halls, is to look at earned media opportunities. That means press releases. This means getting you all out there on news stations, on the radio stations. And the best way that we can do that is remind you all to help us tell your story. Help us tell the story that NSU is Oklahoma's immersive institution. I know, Troy, you did a great job here just the other day where we had several students come in and act as patients in the physician's assistant program. So we came in, took some photos there, we've got a great story out there. And so it's those types of things that you all are doing. You're doing this type of great work every day. And so just let us know about it so we can help tell that story and do our part in helping recruit new students to the institution. Dr. Turner?
Thank you, VPs. Brian, if you will